We're live. Welcome to our first ever live episode of Tabby's Tarot World.
The official podcast for the Tarot Association of British and International Members.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Gwen.
We're here today with our very special guest, Liz Dean. Here's Liz. Welcome. Thank you so much, Liz, for taking the chance on our first possibly bumbling live episode.
You know what? I do love an adventure. So thank you so much for inviting me to be on the first live. I'm very honored. And we're here and it's happening. It's amazing.
Yes.
So far, so good. Fingers crossed. It's great to meet you. You are very, very accomplished author and deck creator. Can you tell us about your work?
It's interesting because there was never a plan to write all of these books and decks. It's something that just really evolved for me quite organically. I write mainly about tarot. That's my core interest. That's where my heart is. But I've also ghostwritten, celebrity biographies, autobiographies, that kind of thing. And I used to be a commercial copywriter, and I worked in publishing for a long time. So I guess I've always been involved with words in some capacity. And then I began writing my own books back in 2001. And that was my first little deck, was called The Art of Tarot, and it was purple. And it got into Smith's, into W.H. Smith's, getting a good tarot book in there, a good deck. And it's still selling after 25 years. It's still in print. So wow. I didn't know when I first said, oh, yeah, let's do this, that it would be around for so long. You know, it's a kind of magic when you create something, you put it out into the world, you've got no idea how it will be received, but you just feel that you just need to do it. And then another idea came along, and then another one, and I'm still doing it. And I love writing, but I really love writing about tarot, and also working with illustrators, artists to create decks is so fulfilling, because, you know, you're not on your own. If you ever do a non-illustrated book, or, you know, one of the ghostwritten books, it's just you with the words, really. But working with artists is very special, because you learn so much through working in partnership. And it comes alive. And also working with a publisher, you know, they have their ideas and input, because otherwise it can be quite a solitary kind of existence. But I try to make it as sociable as I can. But yeah, so I've published, I suppose, a variety of books. I've got publishers here in the UK and publishers in the US. I just love the opportunities that come along, and the ideas. But, you know, when you've been doing it for a while, I think it's like everything in life. It becomes about what to say yes to and what to say no to. Mm-hmm. The no becomes as important as the yes. Mm-hmm. And then often generating things from within that I really feel passionate about, rather than waiting to be asked. So, you know, it's an interesting process, and each book or deck seems to come about in a different way. And just as I think, oh, well, maybe that might be the last one for a while, something else comes along. I'm like, oh, I'm really interested. Like, you know, I just really wanted to write tarot by numbers. That was about 3 years ago. I've just got to do it. I have to do it. And I went to my publisher, and luckily they said yes. But that was something that just kind of burnt me on the inside until I got it out. And I know it's like that for a lot of creative people. You know, it's like, it is a vocation. It's not something that I would ever see I could retire from or say this is a job, but it is my vocation. Yeah. So I keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot from every project. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite? It must be hard to choose a favorite from your own creations.
It really is. I guess if I'm allowed to have two categories, I would, from my books, I would choose probably The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, or The Ultimate Guide to Tarot Symbols. There's the latest one, but
Mhm.
so The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, that's been around for a while now. I love that book. I love the illustrations. For me, that was the first time I'd written a sizable book rather than doing decks and smaller pieces of work, you know. For the decks, and I know this is going to sound like, well, of course she's going to say that. It's this new tarot, which is the Heart's Path, because I was able to follow my heart in order to create it. Whereas I'd done a very commercial deck a few years back, which is for Game of Thrones for HBO, which is a completely different type of commercial publishing, and you bring all your tarot love into it as much as you can.
Yeah.
But the context, the story isn't yours. You just must do justice to the storytelling of others in a way. So for this, it meant that it could be my story, and the publisher just gave me absolute free rein. I was like, can this be happening? Is it true? So that's been a huge journey for me to be able to create something so personal. So yeah, out of all of them, it would probably be those two. But it's always your new baby, you know, whatever it is when it comes in, it's like it's your new baby. And I love seeing, you know, other people creating as well. And I do get quite a lot of people coming to me saying, you know, Liz, how do I get published? I've got an idea for a deck. What do I do? And I'm always happy to guide people on that, whether they want to self-publish or whether they want to find a publisher. Because when it's in you, and it, you know, and sometimes you get people who've been sitting with these images and ideas for years, and so how do I do it? And sometimes because they need to meet the right artist, they also want someone to work with on the words. You know, there's usually a block there, but there needn't be. And it's great to see more and more decks coming out, and whether it's self-published, Kickstarter, small publisher, independent press, whether it's a bigger publisher. I think it's great to see that there's so much richness in it. And I am talking, of course, here, hand-painted, human-made, beautiful pieces of work.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, TABI has taken a stance against AI tarot decks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, there's so many people are as well. We don't need it. Why do we need it? We don't need that.
No, we need to support human creators.
Absolutely. So that's why I was delighted to work with Kat Fedora as the artist for this particular project. And everything Kat creates is all by hand. All of it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, not even digital art, like painting on a canvas.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we found a way to work together that respected that traditional way of working. Because when you want to do an amendment or as a change, if that art has been digitized, even though it was originally a piece of, you know, handmade art, sometimes, you know, it can be corrected digitally, or can be, you know, they could amend the color. But no, if something didn't work, we'd need to say, let's go back, and we go back to a sketch. But
wow,
that was such a rare thing for something not to work. It wasn't really an issue.
And how did the two of you find each other?
Well, we found each other through the publisher, but we were both looking like through our own contacts just to see if we could just feel into getting the right artist. So I think it was through Instagram that the publisher Hay House found Kat, and then I just looked and I thought, oh, this looks really special.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how publishers find a lot of artists these days, is through the showcasing they do on their Instagram pages, or, you know, that kind of thing, or Facebook maybe. Okay. But it didn't used to be that way. It used to go to an illustration agent, or you'd seen someone's work and you just call them. So it's kind of, I guess it's changed a bit.
So as long as you've been creating decks, you've had you've been through a whole technological evolution of how decks can be created.
I am that old.
I didn't mean like that.
I am that old, yeah. Yes, and it is like most sitting like coughing out of my throat chakra going, ha ha. Um, um, yes, yeah, it has changed a lot. And just waiting for an artist to send their artwork, and it would take like 3 days through the post. And sometimes the post office where they lived would be closed half day on a Wednesday, so you wouldn't get it till a Thursday, or sometimes it might come on a Friday. So you had to allow a lot of time for
Yeah.
this. Couldn't just send a scan, or it's all. And of course, the printing process has changed as well. Color reproduction, all of those things have changed, but it's kind of speeded things up. But you still can't take away from, if the original is beautiful and it has that energy, it speaks to you, however it's been produced, as long as it's from the heart of that person, And that I just feel, in fact, I have treated myself to buying the original painting for the cover of the deck. So that's the one behind me. You can see there on the poster.
Oh, lovely.
That's
And
beautiful.
it's the moon card,
Yeah.
which has a woman with her cat, and there's a tiger on the other side of the river. That was one of the first cards Kat did, and she said, "I'm selling these original paintings." I was like,
Yes.
I had to have the moon, so that will be coming from the US to Sunderland, hopefully in the next few weeks. So, because for me, that I will really treasure that as a symbol of the work that we created. And Kat's fantastic talent, and her colours are just beautiful. And that's a lot of the feedback I've been getting, is about the colour, the feel, that it feels magical. And I did want something that was accessible for people. I'm not someone who would necessarily create a deeply esoteric deck with huge levels of symbols, because I feel like, for me, it's like the cards are invitations. Those symbols invite us in, and then we co-create with the card, with the symbols. So I always like things that have got a little bit of space, that I feel that I could walk into the cards, that I could be there. So I've got one here. I know we'll look at some cards later as well. There's a two of one.
Wow.
It's just
That's
that I'm
beautiful.
there. So every
Beautiful.
scene that she creates, it feels like I could step in, particularly for beginners. It can be quite intimidating if they feel there's a lot of things they don't understand. And I don't ever want people to feel shut out of tarot. And if, like, when I teach, sometimes they'll go, "Well, I can't do it. It's my fault. It's me." And I say, "What deck are you using?" "Well, I don't know what it is. It's really..." And like, someone was using the Solar Busker, and I'm like, that's not going to be the easiest way forward. God, and then I always bring loads of decks. Says, "Right, you choose a deck that you like." She chose a different deck, and then she got it, and then she started reading, but she hadn't read for years. She just written herself off, even though she was very attracted to tarot, because she didn't have the right deck. She didn't know. So I think it's really important to welcome people in to this space, because it is a fantastic community. And I know TABI does a huge amount, to keep people connected and keep us all learning. Whatever level you're at, you always want to be learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes such a difference when you find the right deck. It's just, it just opens, doesn't it? It opens. For me, it was quite a different deck. It was the Thoth Tarot. And it was just, I actually put off getting to know that deck for a while because it had such a reputation. But then when I did, I was, oh, oh, yeah. And it reminds me too, what you were saying about symbols is, because you have your book on symbols.
Yes.
And it is a way into the card, isn't it? It's like a gateway into the larger scene in a way. I love what you were saying though about being able to step into the card as well. But then there's symbols that lead you a little bit deeper, aren't there?
I like that. I like working with symbols, particularly to develop intuition and to put aside that idea that you can't read tarot cards unless you've swallowed every book on it, and then you're good enough, and then you'll know enough. And and no one tells you that you can just pick up the cards and see how you feel. You know, when I first got into tarot and I was really quite young, I used to sit on the bed with my sister and we'd have the guidebook, the white book, and the cards. And we thought that you got a card and then you had to go and look it up in the book. And then you'd read everything out to each other. I didn't know that, because I was picking stuff off from the cards. I'm like, that feels like that, but the book says this, so maybe it's wrong. You know, and a lot of people start that way rather than saying, just put the book down, learn tarot when you're not trying to read the cards. That's tarot study. It happens in a different space in your brain. Tarot reading, when we're live, we're in the sacred presence where anything is possible. And symbols come alive in the sacred presence. And they can mean different things every time you read them. So I often say to people, even like experienced readers or people who are used to getting readings, it's like, where do you go on the card? Where instantly do you go on a card? You know, if we go back to the Two of Wands, it's like, do you go to the sun? Do you go to his boots? You know, do you go to this tree? What is it? Do you go to the sky? Sometimes it might be the number, you know, because numbers, of course, carry the symbol. So that's a 2. So is that thinking about partnership? Is it thinking about balance? You know, what have we got there? And you can get an instant reading just by tuning into that symbol. And you see, you can get people reading who think they cannot read cards. Within 2 seconds, you say, how does that make you feel? Everyone knows how they feel. And then that, as you say, is the gateway into the card. And I have done some lovely meditation work where we step into the card. And I think this is a thing that a lot of people enjoy who are into tarot. And you just get taken through, you know, into the card, and then you go and explore and you talk to people and you see what happens, so that you extend the boundaries, you know, imaginatively, psychically. So there's a lot
I
of
love those. I love those meditations. Yeah,
they're lovely, aren't they? And it's something that you could just do again and again and again, because every journey into the heart is different, because you're in a new moment and with new kind of influences and energies around you. So I love the amount of symbols on the card. I mean, just looking at the Rider-Waite-Smith, over the deck, there's more than 250. And that's individual symbols, not including repeats. So not repeat. If you just count the suit symbols as, you know, once, it's over 250. So it's, and others will probably find more. That's just what I'm seeing. And I don't know whether this has happened to you, but even though I've been reading cards for more than 35 years, last week, I saw something in a card that I hadn't seen before. I'm like, what? Amazing. You know, these things kind of leap at you, and it's a gift that just keeps giving. It's so rich. So for me, symbols are the way in. They are the way in. And you don't have to know what it means. You just have to know. You just, it's like notice what you're noticing, because that has meaning for you. And so that people feel then they can have a personal connection with their cards. And then begin to understand how every reading can be different, and that you get the same 3 cards for your next person. You can read differently from, you know, the first reading. Because, you know, all of that, but it's so personal and so in the moment. And then you get out of thinking, I have to learn all this stuff and I'm not good enough unless I've read this. Just like, brilliant, read all that, but do it as some serious study. And then it's like, you know, the way cooks absorb recipes. You know, once you've absorbed, you learn the recipe, then when you've internalized it, it becomes embedded, and then you start to free flow with it. But you're not conscious, you're not thinking about the book that recipe came from. You're just creating in the moment. So, all that knowledge goes in, but you just don't want the weight of it on you while you're reading. We want to feel light, and so that you can really feel. You can feel the energy of the person that you're reading for. So, yeah,
definitely.
Great advice.
I remember. Sorry, say that again, Victoria.
Great advice, I think, because I think that a lot of beginners are so afraid of getting it wrong.
Yes.
Like people, and I will, you know, freely admit that I was like this at one time too. You're asking questions like what is the right way to shuffle a deck? How do you shuffle the deck? As if there's a right way, which I understand now, you know? People want to learn things the right way. I hear this kind of thing a lot. They're afraid of
Yes,
doing this wrong or that
yes,
wrong.
yeah.
But with symbolism, it's like you said, and it's like this, even thinking about dream symbolism, for example, people
Mhm.
want to look it up in a book and what does this mean and what does that mean? But it's so personal and it will have so much more meaning for you to create your own sort of library of symbols that you use.
True. That's very true. And also it's about letting the symbol speak back to you. It's almost like holding that symbol and listening. Just sit with the idea of that symbol, the image of it. I take it in through my third eye and
Hmm.
then just wait and see what I feel in my solar plexus.
Mhm.
Because to me, that's the seat of soul wisdom. So it's,
Mhm.
I will often feel something there. And then that symbol I will start to unpack. And there is always something to be heard, if you make the space to listen to what the symbol wants to tell you.
Yeah.
Because it's happening for a reason. You're deeply called to a particular image because it has something, it is of you and it has something to tell you back. So yeah.
Okay, can I ask if we imagine someone who has been working with tarot and they want to start reading for other people, but they're afraid to start,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them?
The first thing to do is read for somebody, not for money. Do not charge money. Do it for charity. Do it for charity, like at a charity event or something like that. And you just say, I'm taking donations for the charity. It's not for me, right? So the first thing is to take away all financial pressure or all expectation, because someone who goes, well, I've paid £70 for this or £30, that can set up an expectation for the person, for the new reader, thinking, well, what if I get it wrong? You go back into that space. So do it in a space where there's no pressure. And then what I get is put the cards down, see which card calls you the strongest, go straight to it. It doesn't have to be the major arcana card in the middle of a Celtic cross. It can be another card you think, I'm really feeling this. This is what I'm getting here. And this reminds me of, and just start talking. And just start talking. And soon as you set up that flow, then you're off to the races. It's happening. It begins. And it's just don't think about it. And you can say to people, oh, I'm just reading. This is my first few readings. So let's just see where we go, shall we? And then you can also take that card that you feel strongly about and put it in front of the person you're reading for, if you're in person with them, and say, look, I've got a strong feeling about this card. Where on this card do you go? And they'll very quickly go, oh, it's the heart. I really feel drawn to that. Then you can interpret that symbol for them.
Okay.
So I just get that, just free flow. Don't feel that you have to read things in specific spreads. But everybody's different. Sometimes new readers might want a lucky spread to think, if I do this spread, then it will work. And that might work for them, but it doesn't really work every time because every client's different. So it's just to allow yourself to have fun and be playful, because that's when we connect spiritually, psychically. It's when we're relaxed and playful. You're as a reader responsible very much for what you bring. And if you bring anxiety, you'll block the reading. If they bring anxiety, they can also block the reading. So sometimes it's having to be able to manage that and say, look, I just need you to relax, right? And to explain as well that nothing's set in stone. I'm not going to tell you you're going to die. The death card doesn't do that. Sometimes you need to be able to manage people's expectations and understanding of tarot, particularly if they're new as well and they haven't had a reading before, or they had one and it was really bad. It's like going to the hairdressers. Oh my God, I had a terrible haircut in 1995 and I've never ever wanted to do that, and it's like, oh. So I think dispelling a few myths can be helpful as well. So it's like anything, setting the intention is half of it, so that you're relaxed and no pressure. they're relaxed, and you're just going to enjoy the energy that you share. And don't make it too long, 15 minutes. And
Okay.
you can also say, ask one question, so that can focus the reading more. If you feel like you need to have more focus and you don't feel you can free flow quite with that person or at that time, you can say, ask a question. And then you respond to that. Does that sound helpful? I hope
Very.
so.
And we had a comment, someone in the that I had put on the screen for a moment. Juliet says she wished she had this advice as a beginner. It is really nice advice.
Yeah, I do enjoy teaching. I've been teaching online for a couple of years now, doing different levels, and I learn a lot from the students because they tell me what they need, what works, what doesn't work, how things need to be explained. So that's a great path for me. You know, that's my heart's path now, I think, is going more into the teaching side. So, which I didn't expect, but you know, it's how it goes.
Did you have someone to guide you when you were starting to read for people, or did you have nerves about reading for people, or were you always this calm?
Let me tell you, right, I didn't have anyone to help me. I found one book by my idol, this guy called Alfred Douglas, who's from Yorkshire, and he wrote a book called The Tarot, and he did the Sheridan Douglas Tarot. I read his book. I didn't really have anything else. I had a flatmate that used the Crowley deck, and she introduced me to cards. I've always been fascinated, but so I had an introduction, and she helped me a little to start with, but there were no courses to go on. There was nothing. I didn't know where to go after that at all. And I started reading professionally in Selfridges, Psychic Systems in Selfridges. I mean, I've been doing readings for friends for years and years, and I'd done charity stuff, and I'd always really enjoyed it. And then I started at Selfridges. That was amazing. That was amazing training. But I was scared every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Because it's the first time that people were paying, and they're paying a lot of money, proper money for this. But the great thing was you didn't have to deal with any of it, because that was all looked at separately by a receptionist or somebody else, which was wonderful. So I didn't have to think about that. I just went and did the job. And it was brilliant working with other psychics, other card readers and healers. It was just, you know, it's amazing how much you realize you edit your conversation. Well, I did at that particular time. That people said, what did I do for a living? I worked in publishing. And they said, what kind of books do you publish? And I said, oh, it's kind of like health and a bit of new age. But what I was really into publishing was all the tarot stuff, all the crystal books. I did Judy Hall's Crystal Bible #3. It was like, oh, we're going to do this book on shamanism, then we're going to do switcheries, then we're going to do mindfulness, and then we're going to do astrology, and maybe there'll be, you know, all of that. I absolutely loved it. And I didn't really want to tell people. That was the heart of it for me. And that was really writing about tarot, because there was a lot of judgment. There's probably less now, but there could be. People could be quite dismissive, like, oh, that's your little hobby. And it's like, well, no, actually, readings can really help people heal. It can help them heal themselves. You know, it can be life-changing. We all remember life-changing readings. You know, it comes with responsibility. So to be able to walk into Psychic Sisters, where there's 3 or 4 other women or men, I think it's all women, it was kind of amazing, because you didn't have to sort of play it down. It was, because they sold a load of crystals, they still do a beautiful crystal display. So everything I liked was in one area. It was in one place. And we also gave healing there as well. We gave Reiki, and there's a huge amethyst wall. And that was pretty life-changing for me, to be somewhere where I wasn't editing. And also, you know, you realize you're with other empaths, and that it was okay to be highly sensitive, to be really empathetic, to be classed as, okay, very emotional. Because my heart's path was understanding all that, because I was very emotional, or called, you know, like, why are you upset? Why are you crying? It like when I was younger, because I just felt an awful lot. And one day my father said to me, he said, "You're not too emotional." He said, "You're not too sensitive." He said, "You're just highly attuned."
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Your person who just said, "I wish I'd heard that as a beginner. I wish I could tell everybody that who needs to hear that. There's nothing
That's
wrong with
so
you.
great that you had
You have,
someone who
yeah,
understood at the time. That's huge.
yeah. I was lucky that I had that. But before my dad said that, I'd had times when I had walked around just feeling like, why isn't that person like talking about this? Or why do they seem oblivious to that going on over there? And don't they? I didn't realize for a long time. Of course, being drawn to tarot are all ways of expressing those layers, those subtleties, those sensitivities. And it was very healing for me to be able to go to Selfridges and work there because I felt it really validated a lot of things that had happened in my life, you know. So I'm always very grateful to Jane at Selfridges for inviting me into the team. So I was there for nearly 7 years. It was just, I would go once a week. I had many other jobs in writing at the time. So um, that was when I kind of was, yeah, and during that, that was me transitioning into being a full-time reader and writer and teacher. But it happened quite organically. Again, I never made a decision. You know, Jane said, "Come and work with me." I'm like, "Me? How could I do that? How could I do that?" And then again, my very wise father said, "Well, why do you think it's your decision?"
Wow.
Yeah.
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 And he said, "Jane knows what she's doing. It's her decision." I'm like, okay. That's a really interesting idea as well, isn't it? Just to say, well,
Yeah.
actually, this is the universe. This is not just one
Yes.
person, it's the universe coming in to say, this is your next step. This is your next step along the path. So, yeah.
Takes a little bit of the weight off.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Let it flow through you.
Yeah.
You mentioned doing Reiki as well. And can I ask how or do you combine healing work with tarot work with your clients?
Mm,
Can you talk about that?
yeah. What I like to do is I often do my reading first because that will often open up things for people. They may want to talk. And then having some Reiki afterwards is a way of helping that reading to settle and integrate. And I use angelic Reiki. So it's a very, very gentle, but very powerful modality. And it just feels that I can bring in some calm, some peace, some healing that, you know, particularly when people will come for reading in Selfridges, it's a very busy place. You go all those bodies, you're full of shoppers, there's a lot of energy. And I think it is nice to be able to feel that someone has time to gather themselves and receive some Reiki. And also you're very open to receiving when you've just received a tarot reading. You've already opened up psychically, emotionally. So it's like the healing can go in more. I don't know whether that's I always felt
makes
like,
perfect sense.
yeah, that could be really effective. And so that when people would leave afterwards, they would feel calm, grounded, they feel more protected. So you're not going, you know, if you can feel a bit vulnerable after a reading, if it's brought something up for you. So it's how to take care of your energy afterwards. But I also do that for people if they request it after online work, because nearly all my work now is online. And if they would like it, I send them distant healing right after the reading. Because, you know, they've been on their own, as I've been on their own. They may have received something that they really need to think about. Or if they've been suffering from a lot of stress or grief, I can send healing for them as well. So I love the fact that there's both, and so many tarot practitioners are also qualified everything, you know, hypnotherapists, mindfulness teachers, yoga, you know, there's crystal healing, astrology as well, often comes in with tarot a lot. So I just think, it's the gateway drug to all the gorgeous things, isn't it? It's like you
I've
just
heard that
love
before.
one thing.
Yeah.
You're into,
So true.
you're into the Enneagram. Great. So am I. There are so many ways, points of connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's what's nice. And I also bring in switch words sometimes as well. I wrote a book a little while ago on switch words, which are words of affirmation, actually identified by Freud, not the words specifically, but the way they operate, which is like flicking a switch on the inside. So it clicks on your subconscious knowing, which means that switch words are not like normal affirmations. When you stand in front of the mirror and you go, I am bold, I'm beautiful, I'm successful. It's all of this kind of like willpower. I can say it often if I believe it. Now, I know that does work for some people, but I always had me go, switch words can be quite non-literal, and they speak to the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that, for me, can create more powerful change. And here's one for anyone who's here. That I use a lot, which is reach. And you put that together with a master switch word, the universal switch word, which is together, which brings us together in mind, body, spirit in perfect alignment so that we can manifest and heal, right? So you bring in together. You can just chant that on its own. But if you do together reach or reach together, you just chant it to see which order of words resonates best. That can help bring back a lost object. And it can also bring you inspiration. And it really works for me. When I can't find something, I use reach, together reach together. If it's something I've lost out of the house, I bring in divine, because divine means bring me a miracle. So divine, together reach, divine. And it has really worked to bring things back. Because what happens is either it comes back to you externally, or you remember where you put it. It's like it gets into the internal like filing system and pulls out the right memory, and your body will often lead you to where it is, because that's where the wisdom is. It's in the body. So you follow where you go, just like the way you do a body pendulum for yes or no. It's on that same principle. So I also worked out a whole load of connections between switch words and tarot. And I just did that I did that self-published, because it's a very sort of specific thing. So that's another modality that I love using, with tarot. But also it can be as simple as loving nature and wanting to be close to the elements and bringing your deck outside. I mean, I've done books on making charms and reading, using your tarot skills to like read a field, read a sky, found oracles on the beach, like an arrangement of seaweed or pebbles. It's like you can read that. You can read anything. You can use that skill, and that builds confidence, and it's all there for us. And it's like saying, I wonder if that means, again, like we were saying at the beginning, getting beginners or anyone to be able to get away from that, I might get it wrong. It's like, I wonder, and begin with that. And then your imagination comes in, and then that connects with the psychic internet. You join the conversation, and that's what happens, I feel, when I go into nature. It's like you're joining an existing conversation between the trees, between animals. It's all there. So this is why Heart's Path Tarot for me is completely nature-based and heart-centered, because that's where we get so much of our sense of connection from, that needing to feel not alone, that need to feel that we're always one. We're at one with ourselves, on one with nature and the universe as well. So divination outdoors and taking your deck out, I think I went to Burnhall Woods, which is near Durham, near where I live, because Hay House, the publisher of The Heart's Path, had arranged for them to dedicate 3 trees in Burnhall Woods in honor of the deck. I was absolutely so touched by that. And they also found woodland that is about a half an hour's drive from where I live. They'd obviously, that was, and I got a certificate telling me about the wood and these trees, and I just thought, what a brilliant thing to do, because on publication day, if you're lucky, you might, your publisher might send you a bunch of flowers or a card, but this meant and means so much. And I went and I took the deck and I put the cards in different trees and took photographs because I wanted to like connect them. So yeah,
Oh,
so
brilliant.
I had like hawthorn and birch and beech and oak and
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
yeah. And so I went with two friends and we did it together, like as a
Mhm.
kind of as a ritual, and just placing the cards. And then I did a card reading. And to do that in the woods, which is where so many of these cards are situated, it was just. In fact, I've got to show you my favorite card. This is above the
Yeah.
woods.
Okay. Oh, I love it.
I do. I keep calling it the Eight
I
of Cups.
love that.
This is just some. I wanted a little bit of humor. You know, there's
Yeah,
that
so
too.
cute.
There's a lot of animals in the deck.
Yeah, okay.
So I do find that
Excellent.
there's a lot of people who love tarot also are really very nature focused, and that
Yeah.
could be because they are pagan, heathen, Wiccan, or you know, not any particular label there, but that's just how they feel. So I love seeing those overlapping interests, I guess, because that's what
Definitely.
brings us together ultimately. So yeah, so that
Yes.
was my excuse to show you the Eight of Wands is the
Oh,
forest
I
in
love
autumn.
it.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
yeah.
perfect segue because I was just going to come back around to asking you more about the deck. So you
Mm.
mentioned that it was very personal for you. Can you tell us more about that? Or is there a theme of the deck that you could tell us about?
Yeah, well, me, it's the heart's path. So it is about, you know, following your heart's wisdom, getting out of your head, and it's your heart. You know, just recently I discovered that, you know, I deeply apologize if I've got this wrong, but feels right to me. That when you bow, you know, before a deity, the whole thing is that you're supposed to sublimate the head because you bow your head to the level of your heart. And I
Mhm.
thought that's really interesting, so that the heart
Mhm.
becomes dominant, that we're being
Mhm.
led, that, you know, the heart is the biggest thing. And that's where our wisdom is.
Mhm.
So reading from the heart is really about knowing yourself and reading from your intuition. It's reading about through the senses, connecting with how you feel, not about what you know.
Mhm.
Um, and being open to the adventure, I guess, that
Mhm.
awaits through it. So that is the thread, is of following the heart's path that goes sort of all the way through the deck. And that's always been really important to me. And yeah, that's a short answer to a great question, though, isn't it? I'm just saying, because it's all about the heart. You know. But I think the heart is important today because we are often put in a position where our concentration is being fragmented
Mhm.
all the time. When we
Mhm.
go online, you go to check a text message on your phone, and before you know it, you've three pop-ups have come up. You know, have come up. You know, and then you've somehow ended up on Facebook,
Yeah.
and you're like, "How did that happen?" And it's like you can't finish a thought. It's like
Yeah,
it's impossible to finish a thought. Actually, that's dangerous when you think about it. It's getting to
yeah.
the point now where actually reading a book is an act of rebellion, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We're not supposed to. You
Sustained
know, oh,
attention.
put it
Yeah.
down. Oh, yeah, let's just, you know, and the whole double screening thing. There's TV, there's the phone, there's something else. Um, and that's a political thing as well, isn't it? You know, we
Mhm.
can't hear ourselves think anymore. How do we hear ourselves feel? How do
Mhm.
we stay connected to ourselves and each other so that we can create things and look after each other and heal and whatever else we want to do when you can't actually hear what you're supposed to be thinking? So for me, the ritual of tarot creates the space for us to have some calm, get some
Mhm.
self connection, because being online actually causes a lot of anxiety. There's the
Mhm.
whole FOMO thing. Oh, what about that? Oh, I didn't know about that. And all of that, all of that stops you from being in yourself and hearing yourself, your own knowledge. So yeah, that's why it's important. That's why the heart's important, kind of now more than any other time.
Mhm.
Because without this, we could lose ourselves. We could lose the ability to sustain a decent conversation and to read a decent length book,
Mhm.
to finish a conversation that's internal about decision that we want to make, that's important that we might avoid. It puts us into a place of avoidance and suppression.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's the feeling behind, that's the theme of the work and why I
Okay.
wanted to do it.
We have a question for you from the comments. Do you have a special connection with cats?
Yes. Yes, I do. I have a rescue cat called Fern. She's asleep at the moment. Otherwise, I would have been inviting her on screen. I work with cats as well. There are cats in the deck. And in fact, I had someone message me recently saying, yeah, it looks like a great deck, Liz, but is there a lot of cats in it? Because I'm just not a cat person. Actually, there are three. There are three cards that feature cats, but it just feels like so many more because you've got the eight of cats, flying on broomsticks or pheasants, which I just really love. But yes, cats are important to me. I also included the cat on the moon card here as well, as the companion through life, as the familiar.
Yeah.
And this for women has been, it's such a long and old tradition, isn't it, of having your familiar. So she is my familiar. Yeah.
I have to say, sorry, Julie T. I said Juliet before. It's Julie T. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for the question. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to pause here to say anyone viewing right now live, if you'd like to ask any questions or if you'd like a card, you're welcome to comment.
I'm just going to have a little shuffle.
I'd love to see more of the deck along the way.
Oh, yes.
So,
Exactly.
if you want to just pull a card in general, Liz, you're
Absolutely.
certainly
I'll
welcome
pull a
to.
card in general and then I'll show you. Four of Cups. Oh.
Oh,
Listen, I like this because for me, this is fishing in the wrong place. Inspiration. Like, why don't you go over there? It's happening
wow.
someplace else. Yeah. So that was my take on the Rider Waite Smith.
Yeah.
A young man under the tree. And the ace coming in the cloud. So yeah, there's quite a lot of water in this deck as well as. Let me just go through some of those. We'll see if we have a message in here as well, because there is bound to be a message. All right, here we have the sun.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he's looking at the sun and his own reflection as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about everything that we know the sun card is about. But this is about looking at yourself and seeing the joy, seeing your own sun on the inside and holding it with tenderness. Yeah, because joyful times can be precious. So it's like really acknowledging those good times that come, because they may be fleeting, they may stay for longer, but they're yours, they're yours to have. So there's a sense of deep appreciation in that card. Yeah. And I love the colors, the energy.
Yeah.
What a beautiful deck.
It is.
I know.
Yeah, the colors are stunning.
This is my Ace of Cups here. And I love the way Kat, the artist, is made put the blue water into her hair. I only
That's
just
really
noticed that she's got this lovely sort of blue tint coming down. And it's just this idea of, I think there's a gratitude in this ace that is important here as well. There is a really feel of like, there's more, and there's more of this, and there's more. There is no limitation that you can have this.
That's what really draws the eye, the overflow.
Yes.
And it makes me think of how freely we can give love and never run out of it. It's limitless.
Yes, because it is us. She's connected to. She is the water and she is the love. So yeah, I love that. So that's feeling of plenty in that. I've just pulled the world.
Wow.
So here we have the mandala. We have all the trees growing around it. Because I needed trees in this card, that sense of completion, expansion, given that it's all about really the forest. And the dancer. And I love the glow around her in the red, because for me, she's like a little bit like a flamenco dancer, or, there's some real powerful energy in there. and then the city behind, and then something starting to evolve. It's like she might be flying in the air, she might be dancing on the grass, but there's a sense of ascension to it, or lifting somehow. But it's a really beautiful card. And I did some things with gender as well on this, and that we have a female hermit rather than male hermits.
Yeah.
And also, I've included more elder women in the deck. They're not all 20 something. There's a whole range of different women, and also a whole range of different body types as well, which has always felt like important to me, that we have these, people with different shapes and sizes. And also, to say the Two of Cups, these may be non-binary, be female, but this is kind of this isn't a particular gender that you have to see in this, unlike the traditional cards. So
I love that sun and moon in the background.
Yes, and then you've got the heart symbol. So that's a symbol of the alchemy of the masculine and feminine, however that presents,
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So there are lots of hearts in it. Of course there are, but yeah. And this is another favorite here, where this is a tale of the Selkie.
Yeah.
You probably know it, where she's a Selkie, but she meets a man and marries him, and then he either hides or burns her Selkie skin, so she's forced to be human. But then at a certain time after her marriage and her children, she wants to go back to her own kind. And so she finds her Selkie skin, where he's hidden it all the years before, and she puts the skin on, and so that she can go with her own kind again, so she can be who she truly is. And it's an old Scottish folktale, and for me that was so Eight of Cups.
Very fitting.
Heart, in order to find who you are. And there's the moon. The moon's coming up.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, the stars. Everything's possible. And there is another path. And it's the path of moonlight that we see on the front of the box as well. And that it may not be clear. It may be bewildering or enchanting. But we know we're going to have to follow it. And you can just see it on the poster behind as well. Yeah. Yeah, so these are just some of the cards. And there's a lot of variety. Here's a star. So this is a woman who's much more goddessy, very goddessy in her body, which I really like as well. And in this, like her hair becomes the water, the second pool.
That's
and
lovely.
I like so close to the star. It's like it's okay to be dazzled by it and saying, this is your guidance, this is your path, your path is coming. It's here. Just look up. Just look up for it. Because we get all sorts of signs, don't we? But if we're not looking in the right direction, we don't see them. And we have a right to feel hopeful. So it's like turn your head. So that was the feeling. But also you get more meanings, when you're creating the brief and the ideas for these cards, you think, well, that's how it's going to feel. But then when they're published, I had a session with one of the prize winners from the draw, from the pre-order draw. And I expected her to want me to do a reading. She goes, no, Liz, what I'd like to do, I'd like you to talk through just a few of the cards from the deck that are different, really quite different. I want to see what you feel about it compared to what I feel about it. We had this fantastic conversation, just talking about what I saw in the card, and just saying, this symbol, was this something that happened accidentally, or is this here and that? And then I was starting to see even more because of her. Because again, everyone receives this differently and gets the messages they need. So we had a great old conversation.
That's a beautiful exercise.
Yeah, it must be so much fun to see what other people
What do you get from this? This is fun. And then you talk, with me, and would say, was your idea this? I say, yeah, that was my idea. And it's great when someone's just picked something up. They've seen something quite subtle and go, oh yeah. But then a big question she had was about I use birds instead of swords in some of the sword suit, because I didn't want the swords, just like, we've had all that.
Yeah.
And so I kept swords for the court cards, but I used birds and feathers,
Nice.
different types of birds. So for the 10 of swords, I've used a vulture, obviously bird of death.
Yeah.
So because for me, birds they've always been prophetic. I mean, augury is based on, I think the word augury, I think means bird omen or something like that.
Oh.
Vultures are so cool.
Yeah. They're an incredible shape, aren't they? There's just something about them. And I really love magpies. I've got one wall of this office is all magpies. It's a magpie image of magpies flying through trees. So there are magpies, there's jays, there's different types of birds, types of trees. Because again, that's another way that we feel our way into a card, and that we can do a reading. If you really like a card, you think, I want to read with that. And if it makes you smile, even better.
Yeah.
We have a question. Would you mind pulling a card for someone who is in the audience?
Yeah, of course.
Here's the question.
Okay. Right, so the question is, can I ask what you see coming for me this summer? I'm just reassembling my deck. Okay. And could you just give me the, it's Namira, right, yes. Right,
New
okay.
subscriber from the Netherlands. Welcome. And hello, Jan. Jan is here.
Hi. Okay, what I see, right, I feel like you're in two minds about what you should be doing, how you should be spending your time over the next few months. And I feel like there's something deep. I don't know whether you're in recovery from something and you think, well, how do I best go forward after this? Because you've also been, I drew another couple of cards. I couldn't just do one. A death card popped out too. Financially, you will be able to afford to do this. But the ultimate card and what's next is the Eight of Wands, which is just saying, you need to travel. Just make the plans, just do it. And if there's something spontaneous comes up through a friend, just say yes. Because the Wands energy is exactly the healing energy you need. I hope that makes sense.
Wow, you really just flows right out of you when you get going.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you, Namira.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes.
If we have any other questions, then
not at the moment.
Obviously, okay. So ask a question. So I'm working on a project. It's a big project. It's new to me. I'm learning a lot, but I'm enjoying it. I'm a little nervous, but I just wondered if maybe some advice or some feedback around some support basically is what I'm looking for. But
okay.
Encouragement.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to pick 3 cards for you. So I'm also making 3 piles of cards in front of you. So just pick a pile for me. This is like your left, the center pile, or your right.
My left.
Which is my right. Okay.
Yeah.
I can always get left and right a little bit middled up. Okay, so let's just have a look. Okay, you're being asked really to pay attention to your intuition on this as well, because I think you can get very in your head about it because there's potentially still a lot more to learn. But I feel like your grounding is good. You know exactly what you're doing and why. So there's no question like, am I doing the right thing? You are definitely doing the right thing. But it's just, how do I flow with it in the world, right? I think you've overcome any perceived limitation that you had before. I think you've done with that, right? I don't know whether there's anything that is to do with the head stuff, contracts, things like that, anything in writing, bits of paperwork or little agreements, things like that need to be tidied up. There's 1 or 2 things like that, and I think it's a small thing, but it feels like that's in the way. So I'm moving that card over there. Yeah, I think is not to have huge expectations of yourself in too short a time. I feel as I'm getting some, some pentacle cards here. So that is like, hey, this is Earth time. Like, slow it down.
Okay.
Decide when is realistic for you to have achieved this bit or got to this place. Because otherwise you never know when you've been successful. It's like, what does success mean? Instead of thinking this thing when it's all done, rather than, well, what is successful for me like this month? If I could just do this or explore this, but build in more time if you can.
Okay.
So that you can really feel it as you go. So there's a lot to learn here. So yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got the world card.
Oh, yay.
The outcome is like, this is successful completion and expansion. So these are really important lessons and things that you're learning. I think you're learning about yourself as well as you do this. So this is also bringing you personal growth rather than just the completion of a creative project.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Does that help? I hope that does.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very
You
much.
wanted encouragement. You doesn't get much better than that.
No.
And it's it's full life, so it's
Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's lovely to read for you. Brilliant.
Okay, well, we're coming up just on an hour right now. Of course, we want to be respectful of your time. So I think it's a good place to wrap up there. Liz, do you have anything coming up that you'd like people to know about? Courses,
Yeah, I do.
Other things coming out?
Yeah, in September and October this year, I'm running 4 workshops on the Heart's Path. They're all independent workshops that you can book for one that you're interested in, or you can book for all 4. And there's a discount, obviously, if you book for all 4. They're like 2-hour workshops, and they're open to anyone who wants to come. And then anyone who wants to book, you can do that through my Instagram. If you go to Linktree on my Instagram at Liz Dean Tarot, that'll take you to the Eventbrite page, and it gives you all the information about each course. But it's on, aspects of the Heart's Path as well. So one of the workshops is about the elements, working with the elements in the Heart's Path. Another one is about love and relationship readings with the Heart's Path. Another one is about developing your intuition with the Heart's Path. And then the 4th one is an open kind of course for absolute beginners, the people who are really a bit scared, but they can work with. I'll show them how to get into tarot using this deck. So they're different offers, and I'm excited to be able to do that. And I'll also be at the UK Tarot Conference this year talking about the Heart's Path as well. And I'm working on another book, but that's secret. I don't know how I've ended up working on the book. I have. And then after this one, next year, I may be a little bit quieter, but I'm teaching. I'm teaching in Amsterdam next year, which will be fun. I'm also teaching in Edinburgh. I'm back in Australia for the UK, the Western Australia Tarot Conference in, I think it's March 28. So there are things happen.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And also, if anyone just wants to have a chat to me before they book on a course or even a reading, I have a free 20-minute chat option on my website, lizdean.info, when anyone can just book 20 minutes with me, and then we just see if our energy's right, because you don't know if you want to learn with somebody if you haven't met them. So that's just we have a cup of tea together, and we just so I'm open to that too. So yeah,
that is incredibly generous.
Yeah, sometimes I will just do a card for somebody, and they always book afterwards, but it's fine if they don't. It's all okay if they come. It's because they're somehow meant to. We're meant to have that time together. So yeah.
Okay, we've got your website here on the screen. So that's lizdean.info, and on Instagram at lizdeantarot. Are there any other socials or anything you want to mention?
I'm now on TikTok.
Okay.
Which is new to me, and that's at Liz Dean Tarot World.
Liz Dean Tarot World on TikTok.
Yeah, but that's quite new. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Liz. You've
there's
been
one
so
very
kind and so wise. And it's just, you have such a nice, calming presence. It's lovely
Absolutely.
talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could I just say one more tiny thing that I just
Of
forgot?
course.
I'll be running a workshop in person on the Isle of Arran off the coast of West Scotland in October, and I will be teaching divination in nature. So Arran is known as the Isle of Souls. We'll be staying in a beautiful converted church in Kildonan, which is next to a beautiful eco park and a waterfall. It's stunning, and it's only going to be for 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you stay, you learn, we do everything together. And we'll have a beach ritual. It'll be gorgeous. It's 4 nights. One of those nights is free. And I'm running it with one of my closest friends, who's also an amazing tarot reader. So if anyone would love to do that, please get in touch with me. So Arran Retreat. And I'm sorry to interrupt your wrapping up there, but it just came to me. I need to tell them about Arran. Okay.
No, Arran is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
The energy is fantastic there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that all having been said, if you'd like to know more about TABI, membership benefits, upcoming events, the courses we offer, the endorsement program, or how to request a free reading of your own, you can go to tabi.org.uk. That's tabi.org.uk.
And if you have any questions or want to get in touch with me and Victoria, you can email us at podcast@tabi.org.uk.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's really been a fun experiment with the live stream.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, it's been
You've
great.
been a great guest. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.